Hey, how you doing? Please forgive how I look right now. I'm kind of tired. It's been a bit of a crazy weekend, but I'm not here to complain about that. In fact, I'm here with a bit of good news. Give me a moment. These have arrived. Um, so yeah, I said that there was a chance that I was going to be reviewing, excuse me, some more swords. Well, here they are. Um, a lot more than I expected. Well, I mean, I was expecting these when I was told that they were coming, but I'm talking about like a lot more than I was expecting at all. Because, as I said before, normally I only review swords that I buy, and considering that I'm not exactly, the most, moneyed individual around, I don't get to buy swords very often. However, these were actually sent to me, which is something that rarely ever happens, and I appreciate it. And these were sent to me by LK10, who, if you remember, is the one who helped to design this sword, the Flying Phoenix. Flying Phoenix Hanjian, which is supposed to be a more accurate representation of swords back during the Han Dynasty. And there were several other swords that he had actually helped to design, and there's some of them here, and we're going to start going through them now. One of them I'm actually purchasing. Remember that I wanted to get a sharpened version of that sword. Well, it's actually here. So, what we're going to do now, I'm going to carefully open these, because it looks like they were sent directly in their styrofoam packaging, and I don't want to slice directly into the styrofoam, so I got to be very careful how I cut into this. This, by the way, is my secondary knife. My main CKRT knife I unfortunately lost, so I need to get me another one. But yeah, I'm gonna start cutting in here and digging into it, and yeah, let's get into these. Okay, so let's dive into these. This is the first one that I'm going to see what it looks like, though I'm pretty sure I know which one this one is. So let's carefully unwrap this. And yeah, it's the good old Flying Phoenix. Ooh. Ooh, okay. There's some differences between my dull one and this one. For one, the cord's different. I think it might be a higher quality cord. Definitely feels tighter in the grip. But the shape of the handle is different. But watch. Okay, so there's this one, right? And I showed you that, you got the flat profile there, and then toward the pommel, it's round. But that's fine because your hand is mostly going to be here, right? Well, it's the same thing with this one. Get a moment. Oops, sorry for bumping the mic. Get a moment to sit down. But this one, if you notice, now there's like that kind of almost vase type shape to it. It still has that flat profile, but now you got it. It tapers in the middle there. So I find that rather interesting. Same, bronze pieces. And again, these all look handmade. It's got that handmade feel to it. You know what I mean? Same beautiful pattern on the scabbard. Though this doesn't have that scalloped tiled roof thing anymore. This one does. Like you can see that there, how here, it's got that hollow ground type, the kind of Chinese tiled roof side, and then this side's just straight up diamond profile. Now this one is just straight up diamond profile. So, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I mean, on one hand, the scalloped roof thing was rather cool, but on the other hand, it's still a decent scabbard. I mean, scabbard is a scabbard is a scabbard, but I do really like the pattern there. Ooh. This one feels even lighter than the other one. I'm gonna have to. The pattern also really jumps out on this one. Like the other one has a pattern, Like, but this one, oh, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see that, but it really jumps out. Damn, I really wish the lighting was better in here so you can see what I see. I don't think you can see it with this lighting. I'm trying, I really am. I'm trying to find some way to get you guys to see how beautiful this looks. It's absolutely gorgeous. I need better lighting in here. But this feels lighter, just slightly lighter. I'm wondering if it's because this one actually has an edge. Like, remember, the other one doesn't. And that one was made, more for practice and being able to, like, spar against somebody lightly. Though you're most likely going to have to cover the tip because the tip is still really sharp. But this, it feels, wow. I didn't even think it was possible to feel even livelier, but wow. Can't wait to test cut with this. I really can't. Ugh. Wow. I love the feel of this. I really do. I am noticing a slight imperfection, if I have to be honest. But then again, this is the sort of thing that you sometimes see with handmade stuff. Oh, no, actually, no, it's not. Never mind. I could be wrong. I thought that the handguard was slightly off-center. But now that I'm taking an even closer look, I'm probably wrong about that. If it is slightly off, then it's probably off like maybe like a millimeter or two. Nothing like major. But again, this is the sort of thing that I kind of expect for, handmade. And again, considering what the price is probably going to be for these. Also, that's interesting. I normally do not hear that when I pull out a sword from it. This sounds, you hear that? That's a sound that you normally hear in movies when you pull a sword out. That's like, metal scraping against metal, but there's no metal in here, as far as I know. I wonder if they lacquered the inside. Interesting. Very interesting. And, ooh, it's a good fit. I don't know if it's because of all the oil that was put in, because, you got to, when you're transferring swords. But yeah, that's a much tighter fit. This ain't going anywhere. You see that? Like, it locks in place. That's an improvement over that. I can tell you that right now. I appreciate that. I think this is the first Handguard I've seen, no matter what handguard or whatever, where the blade is firmly secure in here. That's big. That's huge to me. I mean, there probably were others, but I hadn't encountered them yet. So I'm already impressed, and I haven't even cut with this yet. But I gotta find out the weight on that one. I have a feel. It just feels lighter. I don't know. You know what? I got this right here. Yeah, I mean, as light and as gorgeous as this one feels, that one feels lighter. Though it's making me wonder. I mean, this one I know when I strike with it, it's going to hurt. Like, this will do damage. If this had an edge, there's enough mass to go through. That one feels so light, I'm not too sure. So I can't wait to see what it does. And I'm pretty sure it will cut because, again, I saw LK10 work with his sharpened versions, and we saw what those can do, like, cutting through iron wire and slicing through bamboo. And I've actually received later pictures of him actually chopping through the bamboo, so I'm pretty sure that's going to get the job done. I can't wait to see. Can't wait to see. Okay. You know what? Okay. I was going to go to that one next, but I got to show you something. I can't hold on to this anymore. I can't. I just can't. Oh my God. You might remember in my last review video, I don't know if you can hear me, I'm over here. You might remember in my last review video, I said that if you've seen long swords before, you haven't seen anything yet. Okay. Alright. You ready for this? You ready? Because I'm not too sure if you're ready. Yeah, it's touching the ground. And in case anybody wants to know, I'm 5'7". So. Let's open it. Let's see. I can't believe how long this thing is. And by the way, for something this long, it also feels fairly light. Which is saying something because I've held two-handed Chinese swords before. And they usually there's a bit of weight to them. Whoa. This is a bit more impressive in person than the pictures that I'd seen. I gotta vacuum all this styrofoam up, by the way. Wow. Okay. This, guys, according to LK10, is called the Striking Eagle. This is the longest freaking sword that he has for his fighting system in the sword he designed. Right away you'll notice that the handguard, while it's still, compared to other people's handguards are small, as far as really long quillins, it is still a little bit more substantial than the Flying Phoenix. Like it's a little bit wider, as far as, from blade to handle. There's a little bit more material there. It's interesting, the wrapping. How you got the inner wrapping there, and then you got the white cord around it, and then the one long line. I've not seen wrapping like that before. It's interesting. Ooh. Interesting. This is a hollow ground. Here, can you guys see that? This sort of reminds me, like the blade profile reminds me a bit of the Adam Sujien, which also is a hollow ground design, except this one actually has a real edge. So, you get the hollow ground, and then you get toward the edge, and all of a sudden it tips down toward the edge again. I like that. It's rather interesting. Oh my, look at the... That's the blade, guys. And jeez. I mean, I've held two-handed Chinese swords before with long handles, but this is the longest I've encountered. This is really long. Like, this is sort of reminding me of, like, what a Nodaichi might be like to wield. Except, this... Jesus Christ. And despite how long this is, this still feels pretty light. Like, I'm not really encountering, it doesn't feel clumsy. It feels really lively. Like, I don't know if I would use this in one hand, simply because of the length of the handle. But as far as weight and balance is concerned, I can still easily use this with one hand. But because of the length, you pretty much have to use two. You pretty much have to use two. I don't really see... I mean, I get, in a pinch, you need that extra length there, but this is interesting. I'm wondering how Bagua's sword would work with something like this. Again, I know the fighting system that LK10, is working with is more of a quick thrust, chop type thing. But, it's just like, thrust. Well, not so much of that there. It's just like thrust, quick strike sort of thing. But considering the length, I'm wondering if a Bagua sword type person could easily work with this as well. Because they work with really long, oversized swords. The only thing that's making question it is just the length of the handle. That's not a detriment, I'm just saying it's different. Wow. Oops. The other one fell. Yeah, this is... And by the way, same gorgeous folded steel pattern on this as well. And this one's sharp. Jesus. This is impressive. And you can see why it's called the Striking Eagle. It's they said it's partially the handguard sort of inspired that. You sort of have like, an almost like a... It has, it seems to be inspired by an eagle in flight, with the point there and the outstretched, handguard part there. I guess you can call that a quillin. But it's also like, it's just, I could just see it nimbly coming at your target. And since, it's so long, it will be able to reach that target pretty quickly. Like, boom, like you're right there. This is impressive. Just for the length alone. Okay, you saw how long it was in the scabbard. Usually the scabbard adds a few inches. But now I'm putting the tip on the ground. Look, it's still... Jesus Christ. I could see some people enjoying this. Though I am a little concerned about that. I mean, I don't know if you can hear that. I mean, it's not really rattling. I'm just hoping that this... I'm pretty sure the tang is secure. But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't feel... Like, when I'm doing all this, it doesn't feel like the blade's going to fly out. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this. But I'm thinking, you know, considering how long this is, something like that, that probably is to be expected. I've not used a weapon this long. This is honestly, this is the first time I'm holding a sword this freaking long. I've held long Chinese two-handed swords before, but they usually came up to here. Not here. Like, again, you see this? This is like right here. I'm used to them being here. This is awesome. Whoever, the swordsmith that put this together, first of all, again, LK Chen designed it, you know, he knew what he was doing when he was commissioned, you know, getting the sword made. But I gotta give props just for, you know, the length alone and how well the steel looks like it's forged. And just the balance. These forgers and these swordsmiths, they're really showing, you know, how good they are. Like this, in my opinion, this is a feat in and of itself. But when I put this thing through its paces, we'll really see. Because, yeah, best believe I'm going to be cutting targets with this and seeing how well it functions. And again, snug fit. Snug fit. Props to that. Interesting enough, not wide down here. This one, you know, is a more, you know, I guess conventional, you know, end cap for the scabbard. Interesting matte finish. It's not lacquered, or if it is, it's more of a, you know, a matte finish on there, and then just simple bronze fitting there. Interesting that, you know, this one sticks out more. I'm probably going to be asking LK Chen a little bit more about that. Though I was recently, my contact to LK Chen was nice enough to give me even more information on ancient Chinese sword designs and why they were made that way. And he even gave me some reference materials to work with as well. He's been a great help throughout all of this. He really has. You know, and if you're wondering why I don't mention the guy's name, it isn't because I'm being a jerk. It's because he personally did not want me to. Not because he is afraid of everything. It's just more like he doesn't really want to be in the spotlight, even though I think he deserves to be mentioned, but just saying. Okay. Oh my god. That is one hell of a... Jeez. Can't wait to put this weapon to his faces. This is something else. This really is, like, wow. Okay then. Alright. So that was the Striking Eagle, by the way. The first one was the Sharpened Flying Phoenix. That one's the Striking Eagle. Now, the third one... Ooh, okay, I gotta put this back in its sword bag. Excuse me. Jeez, I didn't even think they made sword bags this long, but, well, if you got a sword this long, you kind of have to, right? Beautiful piece. It really is a beautiful piece. Okay, so now we got okay, so I believe this third one is interesting, and I haven't told my contact this, and I should have earlier. Okay, first of all, what I mean, all right, this sword is interesting. This one right here. This one here, if you notice, it's again built similar to a Handguard, but it's let me make sure I'm using the right one. Yeah, this is the right one. This one's interestingly called the White Arc. And the white... Okay, I know I'm going to butcher this, and when I do my more formal review of this, I'll have a better description of what the White Arc is, because right now I'm trying to recollect from memory. But generally, you know, kind of like the light that sometimes happens when the sun sort of comes over the horizon, you get that kind of white, you know, almost rainbow type. Well, it's like that arc that you normally see with a rainbow, but it's more the sunlight itself and that white, bright arc that you see. That's what this is named for. And interestingly enough, when I was told this, that cleared up something in my head. There's a sword form that I've heard of, which is called it's the rainbow sword, the rainbow sword form. But I also heard it called the white rainbow sword, and I'm like, white rainbow? That doesn't make sense. Now I understand what they were trying to translate. It's not white rainbow, it's white arc. So the sword form itself is referencing that arc, and this one is as well, because the blade, even though the oil is on it, but yeah, the blade is supposed to, the brightness of the blade and how beautiful and shiny it's supposed to be is supposed to represent that arc. Now, what's interesting about this one is, again, note the length of the blade, but note the length of the handle. This is as if you just kind of like, you know what? I just don't like how long the handle on the Flying Phoenix is. That bothers me. I want this to be a pure one-handed sword. I am not going to be gripping it up here, so screw it. Cut those last bit out. And once again, nimble. Even with the extra bit gone, because I know some people will be going, well, a sword like that long, you need the handle to be that long in order to counterbalance it so it doesn't feel like a crowbar. Well, as you can see, that's not a problem because this one's much shorter, and yet it still feels lively in the hand. Extremely lively in the hand. And again, that same flat profile that you expect to see. So good edge alignment, simple, elegant fittings. Again, just simple fittings, just a more conventional end cap. Basic, kind of like, Han-inspired design on the handguard. Blade is very similar to the Flying Phoenix. And great point control. I can get it where I want. There's the camera, there's the screen, there's a camera button on the screen, there's my soda can, kombucha bottle. You can't see those. I can get this where I want it to go. The point goes where I want it to go. And of course, if I'm not, instead of me pointing, because that's the end, it's point. And then there's, of course, stab, just thrust. One of the problems, by the way, with thrusting, if you do this too much, sometimes you end up doing this and the wrist will accidentally dip it down. That's something that I've had to, control myself from doing. What's the point of balance on this one? I'm just curious. Yeah, it's about where the Flying Phoenix is. It's about exactly pretty much where the Flying Phoenix is at. Yeah. This is a beautiful sword. I mean, I could see, if somebody just doesn't like the length of the other one, there's this one. And this is, again, a little bit more conventional. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful, I have to say. And again, snug fit. So far, I'm finding these snug fits on these type of scabbards, which, in my opinion, is a godsend. They get this rather interesting large sword hanger here. But I have seen this in images and statues of certain soldiers and swordsmen, whatever. These older designs of Chinese swords, you'll see that these, sword hangers are quite big, for the belts to go through, because when they wore them, they usually wore it this way. I mean, sometimes you'll see it worn this way. A lot of ancient designs will be like that. And the guy, my contact, he's actually showed me one of the ancient ways that they will wear the sword. But one other way I've seen it is worn in the back like that, and the belt would go through that and through the loop there. And you want to pull it out, you pull it out that way, or you could, depending on how it is, you could also pull it out that way. And no, this is not like this where it's like that and you're trying to pull it out this way. No. That's different. If you got it back down here this far, then it's much easier to pull out. So, interesting design. Again, these are more matte finishes on the scabbards. And again, I can tell this is all hand painted. Is that separate wood? No, that's the lacquer. I was feeling a little bit of a separation between here and here. I thought they were wow, they use different pieces of wood to put this together. No, it's just paint. And again, more conventional end cap. It's not flared out like the others. Like the Flying Phoenix, I should say. I shouldn't say like the others, because the others also have a similar end cap. So there's that. That's the white arc. And it is rather beautiful. It's a long one-handed sword, shorter handle, understated, but it makes its point. Excuse the expression. Okay, next. Man, I'm sorry this video is going on for way too long. I'm trying to speed through this, but these are my impressions as I'm picking these up. So, the next one is this one. And this one is the Chujian. This is the shortest sword in the collection. So, I don't know the sword length. I haven't memorized the sword length so far. Ooh. Ooh. Oh my god. Whoa. Okay. Color me even more impressed. Whoa. Are you guys seeing this? Look at... Alright, we've been looking at swords with rather simple but practical, elegant fittings, right? Like, you know, it's just simple bronze fittings and, you know, like simple, basic, you know, no-nonsense, you know, scabbards. So I'm expecting this to kind of follow the same thing, and while it's minimalist, now I'm getting design. Look at that. Look at the detail work on that. Look at this. Do you see this? And look at this. The pattern. There. The light's better there. That is a beautiful pattern. I really like that. And even here, the sword hanger was carved into. It's a simple design, but it's still pretty. And then down here, I recognize this pattern because it's on my other Handguard down there. But it's still beautiful. And, of course, you know what I like about this? It's that same flat design, so you got the edge alignment, but it still has the grooves for your fingers to fit into. You know, it's still ergonomic. Ooh. Okay. 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 And again, very light. Very light. Very light. You know what this feels like to me? This sword here? And LK Chen, if you're watching this, I don't know if this is going to get a laugh out of you or what. This sword feels like a big... This feels like a straight up, no, this is how you do this type of sword. What I mean is, I've seen this design before. Like other people, other forges, other sword sites making so-called Handguard designs like this with this particular type of blade profile where you got the ridge, the hollow grind, and then the edge there, and the blades are kind of wider and a bit shorter and stouter. And with a similar handguard to this, like it's like the typical Handguard design that we normally see with the handguard, but it's smaller like that. And I see those swords, and they're usually like 28 inches and like 2-something pounds, sometimes close to 3. This thing feels like a feather, and it's slightly longer, and is elegant and understated. It's like no, guys, you're doing it wrong. No, this is how you make this. That's what this sword feels like. It's like just looking at it and holding it. It's like, guys, seriously, this is how you make this kind of sword. Can you please get it right? Like that's the feeling I get from here. And once again, where I want it to go. And also, like, out of all the ones so far, I think that this one might be the easiest for a traditionalist, quote-unquote, to get accustomed to. The reason why I say that is because of the length and the width. Like, this is probably the closest thing to a Ming/Qing style jian in terms of the length of the handle and the length of the blade, as well as the width of the blade. This is pretty close. Like, if I compare that to, say this, which is more of a, you know, Ming Qing design, say for the really long freaking handle there. Let me gently put that down. If you compare this and you see how wide this particular blade is, if you compare it to the Flying Phoenix and the other swords, those are much narrower. This has definitely got more of a cut in the cut and thrust. Like, by the way, this It's funny. The balance on this is still really good, but I could feel the weight a little bit more. This, the balance is really good, but it feels like a feather. It's like amazing. But notice the width. Unlike the other swords that I've been using, this one just feels very, very light. But and this one, again, is very comparable in terms of the width of the blade. But here's the thing that gets funny. Once I compare lengths, this one's 30 inches. This one I think is 32. This one looks like it's 32. I'm pretty sure it was, actually, now I don't know what I'm thinking about it. See? See the lengths? I'm going to put it sideways there. See? I'm comparing it base to base. And despite this one needing a longer handle to come up with a better counterbalance, this one doesn't need it. It doesn't need it. Wow. I think I'm going to have to buy 2 swords. I think I'm going to have to buy 3. Oh, God. How am I going to afford all of these? Because I'm oh, boy. Wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. I really like this one. And by the way, this one also has that same gorgeous pattern. Every last one of these is patterned steel. I'm pretty sure it's the same type of steel that the Flying Phoenix was made from. A mix of 1060 and that T8. Beautiful. And again, snug fit. Snug fit. Not even this one can say that, unfortunately. It has a sort of snug fit, but not exactly. Which is weird considering that this one was made, you know, in that Ming Ching style where the scabbard goes a little bit into the handguard. And yet if I put this upside down, see? You know, I'm not trying to dig on this one too much. I do like this sword, but, you know, you have to point out when one is, you know, superior. And so far the ones I've handled are superior. Just saying. I mean, if somebody's a B+ student and the other one's an A+ student, I mean, you're not saying that the B+ student sucks. You're just simply saying that the other guy's A+. You know, what do you want? Okay, finally. So that one was the Chudian. So first we saw the sharpened Flying Phoenix, then we saw the rather impressive looking Striking Eagle, and then the third one was the White Arc, and this one is the Chudian. And the last one is called the Roaring Dragon. Yes, that's the name. So with a name like that, I'm sure you're expecting something impressive. Well, it's a little shorter. It's still not up to here like the other ones. Oh boy, what's this one gonna be like? What is this one gonna be like? Jesus Christos. Okay, let's see. Oh. Okay. Wow. Okay, number one, we're getting that same beautiful detail that I saw in the Chudian, but now I'm seeing it in this two-handed sword. I'm trying to get this without ripping the cord. And the same pattern in the scabbard. Look, okay, here, see? Right there in the pommel. And then you look at the handguard, which is thin, yes, but notice the detailing. See that? And then that same beautiful pattern on the scabbard. The same, you know, simple, elegant carving on the sword hanger. That same wide pattern there. And another impressively long handle. The cord wrapping on this one, this is a little bit more what I expect when I usually see a Chinese two-handed sword. The handle has the typical ridges that I tend to see in swords like this. But instead of it being completely round, it still has a shape that's more conducive to edge alignment. You still got the flat part there. And a beautiful looking blade. Beautiful looking blade. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. By the way, all of these are sharp. Every last one of them. Including this. I can tell just by looking at the edge. I am not going to even try to put my thumb on it. You know, it's interesting. The striking eagle really, like, I don't know if it's because of my height, but I mean, the striking eagle is still very light and very nimble and easy to handle. But there's something about this one that feels a little bit more comfortable to me. Just a little bit more. And this is not saying that the other one is clumsy in any way. It's not. The striking eagle is not, it's a sword that just, you put it in your hand and it wants to fly. It really does. This one, though, this feels a little bit more comfortable in my hand. I don't know. I'm thinking it might be because since the other one is just a little bit longer, it might be a little too much for me. And I'm not saying too much in the sense that I can't use it. I'm pretty sure I could. I mean, I didn't really have any problem swinging it around. But I don't know. It's like this one, I hold it in my hand and it's just like, it feels comfortable here. And again, it's slightly shorter. And again, it just has that really beautiful, snap and balance to it. Just that beautiful snap and balance to it. And same beautiful pattern I see on the blade here. I'm noticing a lot of these are having that, hollow ground and then the edge pattern there. These are some impressive freaking swords. And every last one of these is light. Every last one, for their length, they're very light. Like even this, if I was, like, come on, have at thee, and I wanted to do this with one hand, yeah, the length of this handle is going to kind of get in the way. Oops. At least the edge was not damaged. And I don't see any mark on the ceiling. Okay, let's pretend that didn't happen. This is really long, and I am doing this in an apartment building. An apartment complex, really. I'm not in the building. Anyway, yeah, all of these are really, really impressive. All of these are really light for their length. But there's still a bit of authority to it. Like, I don't feel like, let's just put it this way. None of these feel like if I was hitting somebody with it, I'm hitting them with a wiffle bat. They're not that light and insubstantial, but they're light enough for what they are. Like for this particular sword, it's like you're holding it and you're like, wait a minute, this feels like, you know what? Just to give you, this in weight and balance feels like this. And remember, this is the 30-incher. This is that 30-incher that's 2 pounds, how many ounces? 2 pounds, 4 ounces, something like that. That's what this feels like. And this is much longer. So, I mean, that tells you a lot right there about how well these things are crafted. Now, I think for all that I'm saying right now, these are still just first impressions. This is me just taking them out the box and looking at them and like, whoa. And by the way, I'm going to be reviewing these in the order that I just took them out. But I'm thinking, because I know people are looking at these and I'm talking about how light they are, and they're going to be like, okay, we know that when it comes to cutting or when it comes to any type of destructive test, you need that mass behind it. If these things feel so light, they can't possibly do enough damage. Well, I personally know you don't need that much mass to get good cutting damage. And second of all, these particular swords, especially in the time period that they were were made for quick striking and thrusts. Okay, like you were really meant to drive through the target with these. That's what they were designed to do. But if you needed to make the cut, you could. You could just make that quick cutting, snapping cut, and you're not trying to cleave through them with a sword like this. This is not a cleaving sword. These are not katana. These are not falchion. These are not, tulwars. These are not swords that you're like, and then, slicing from here to here, guts spilling out. That's not what these things were made for. They were made for quick, debilitating cuts. And, you know, you make a quick strike, boom, right here. Veins are cut. You don't need to do any more damage. Or, you know, you like do a quick deflect, you know, something like here, and then boom, right through the chest, right here, get right under the heart, you know, cut off the descending artery. They bleed out. You're done. You keep going. That's what these things were made for. So when you keep that in mind, then you realize that these swords are perfect for what they are. But again, the proof's still going to be in the pudding. So I think what's really going to show off just how good these things are of course going to be the cutting tests. Can these things make some sort of, you know, impressive damage? We'll see. I personally have good faith in these because I've already seen what these things could do. So, but it's just going to be fun doing it myself. Unfortunately, well, I shouldn't say unfortunately, but now I have to go and finish building that cutting stand because my old cutting stand is no longer with me. I couldn't fit it in the rest of my stuff when I moved from there to here, from the Midwest to out here in the West. So I got to build me a new stand. At least I got a whole lot of cutting targets. I've been slowly collecting bottles and other things for a while now. And then once I get that going, we're going right into the reviews and the tests for all of these. But I have to say, as far as first impressions go, I'm quite impressed. Especially the Striking Eagle and the Roaring Dragon here. I told you guys Chinese two-handed swords are long. Like traditionally they're very long. Now you can see I wasn't kidding. Like these, look at this. Like this, yeah. These aren't toys. Okay, like these are impressively long. And, you know, just that alone and the fact that they were made to be so well balanced that, you know, they're this long but they're not cumbersome and they're not going to tire you out when you use them, that's impressive in and of itself. And then when you, the other three are superb one-handed swords with impressive lengths. This video's already gone on really, really long, but I think there needs to be something said for the fact that these swords are as light and nimble as they are, with the lengths that they are, you know, and when you compare them to other one-handed swords throughout different time periods and different cultures, and you compare the weights, you realize that there's something quite special about these. Like even rapiers, which everyone keeps thinking are light and dainty. No, like rapiers have some weight to them. Like basically, like take a long sword and stretch out the blade. You're not adding more material to make the blade longer, like a rapier blade where you get like 36 inches, 39 inches, 40 inches. Like sometimes you've seen rapier that long. You know, and those have some, you know, I'm not going to say that they're going to break your wrist. They're not like 3 pounds or something, but still that amount of, like a long sword type blade, those things aren't, you know, they're not insubstantive. So those swords have a bit of, you know, mass to them. Then you compare them to something like these, and it's like, whoa, what the? Like, it's something. It really is something. Like, I really would like to see what somebody else from a different background would think of holding swords like these. Like somebody with a more Western background or like a Western fencing, a longsword background. After holding these and using these, I would love to see what they would have to say, because it's like night. Well, I was about to say it's like night and day using these, but then that will make it sound like Western swords are cumbersome things, like they sometimes try to portray in video games and such, and they're not. They're nimble swords in their own right, but these just feels there's a lightness to these that you have to feel them to believe them. It's crazy. So I've not handled weapons like this at all. Seriously, of this sort of balance and weight, I've never held anything comparable to these. And if they are going to do what I think they're going to do, wow. But we'll see. I still got to review these and get everything set up. So, sorry for the length. I thought this was going to be a very quick unboxing, but it was 5 swords. What are you going to do? You know, hope you guys enjoyed this as much as I did. I got to start cracking on the reviews. But I got other videos I need to hurry up and finish as well, including some that have nothing to do with martial arts. So I got work to do on top of the work I got to do. But I will try to get these out as quickly as I possibly can. Till then, I hope you enjoyed it, and catch you guys later.